stunt coordinator. You got, because of issues, you got turned into an actor and stunt guy.
That did happen.
So you're also variable to what the needs are for that particular production.
Well,
So that's very valuable.
Well, filmmaking is fun. So this is actually going to segue right into Kyle, because that's what I'm good at. Filmmaking is fun, and being able to, work with my friends and make money, I couldn't imagine anything being better than that. And that is the reason that we have invited the Kyle Sullivan of DoorMonster TV to the Austin Action Fest. Cue clap track. So Kyle, go ahead and introduce
Thanks for having me.
people at home. Let them know who you are and why you are amazing.
I'm Kyle. I'm fairly normal and not really all that amazing, honestly. I just don't really like doing anything I don't want to do. So I've spent my entire life making movies and just kind of like lightly suggesting that people hand me money for it if they enjoy it. And for some reason that's worked. And so now I do that full time. I have a YouTube channel. We posted regularly, we posted a weekly sketch for about 4 years. And then did a TV show pilot, and then kind of been changing our schedule up since then.
Got you. That is amazing. One, two. Before we get into the heavy stuff, we like to have a couple fun questions with you. What's something wacky we can ask Kyle? What is something weird about you that we wouldn't know looking at your highly polished YouTube videos and your perfect marriage?
I've never heard anybody describe me as either of those things. Highly polished. Wow. All right. That's a new one. If that's what it comes across as, then what you might not know is that we never have any idea what we're doing. We show up half asleep. Everything is breaking the entire time we're there. Most people don't know what's going on. I show up with the script. I hand it to them right before we start. Nobody's acting. We just set a camera up and then people just go through the lines, and then I edit it all together later. I guess the secret is that it's all only in my head the entire time, and everybody else has no idea what's going on at any given moment.
Got you. Well, hey man, here's the deal. We're here to talk to you because we're all jealous, right? Just a little bit. We've been mentioning you guys the entire time we had the festival about this group of young filmmakers who are living the dream, who have way more YouTube followers than we have, right? And had incredibly successful crowdfunding campaigns. So walk us a little bit through how DoorMonster got started, and then we'll get into why you've been so successful with these avenues.
Sure. I guess the important parts about getting started, I wanted to make stories in pretty much any format from really young age, and was introduced to the idea that you could make an entire short film by yourself online through other people who were already doing it. I just stumbled across it. It was before YouTube even. It was actually new grounds. I started on doing animation and things like that, and ended up moving up to film as I was able to do things like afford a camera and get a driver's license to go places. And we kind of had this little off and on YouTube project throughout school. And then once I finished high school and college and graduated and was trying to figure out what to do, I decided I listened to a lot of other YouTubers who had started back when I was watching them back in 2010 when it was kind of new, and most of YouTube was people who just really wanted to make movies and didn't have their own avenue to do so, and had found this website to start uploading them. I followed their advice, which was essentially once you've gotten started, you can't stop. It's more about when you first get started, it's more about the quantity than it is the quality, because you're still learning. And the more time you spend on each individual project, the slower it's going to be. And so I just decided I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try to do it right for 1 year. I'm going to every single week for a solid year, I'm going to release a video. I'm going to see if it works. And that way, if it doesn't, I'll know that I at least tried and I can move on and do something else with my life. And so we made it through the first year, and now it's, 5-6 years later, and we've, it worked out. So.
Gotcha. That is how we do it. So you guys are pretty, I don't want to say you do one specific thing, but you have a pretty strong niche, like a very fervent fan base.
We do.
How did you find out who that was? Like, how did you develop that?
So that was definitely a difficult question. We've never been good at marketing ourselves. That's probably our biggest weak point. Wow. Is that we're not good at selling what we do. I'm very, very happy with the amount that we have. Like our subscribers are way more than I ever pictured back in the day. We have so many more people watching, and it's been amazing. If you compare us to other current YouTube channels, which are 15-year-olds sometimes are making far more money and getting way more views than we ever will, which is fine. It's just not it's not, our specialty isn't really going viral or getting widespread attention. But I think one thing that we have done really well is that we've just kind of stayed true to what we want to make, and we've stuck with it no matter what happens. And so I think the few people that we have attracted have appreciated that. And we've also been very supportive of that group. We've always been very aware of how lucky we were to have the group that we had, how much we rely on them to keep making the things that we make. We're always very open, very transparent about the money that they send in, money that we get from other sources, where it goes. And I think we've just kind of been able to build up sort of a trust. It's a smaller group, but it is a very dedicated group, to the point where I do feel like if our YouTube channel got deleted or something, we could re-upload the video somewhere else and probably not take that big of a hit in the long run. And yeah, I think most of that came from just consistency and focusing really hard on keeping the people that we had. As far as methods for getting people to the channel really early on, we did end up using Reddit quite a bit. It was kind of an accident, but it was our first big video that got a whole lot of views. We did the DoorMonster video that we eventually named the channel after. Somebody else posted it on Reddit. I didn't really know how Reddit worked at the time, and it blew up. And so after that, we would start posting our own videos on Reddit. We had to be to the point where we had to we were technically breaking their rules. They had really strong no self-promotion rules at the time. So we would trade off okay, one account can't keep posting the same videos or they're going to catch on, they're going to shadow ban us. So this week it's your turn. Go post it to the relevant, video game that the video is about, and pretend that you just found it online and it's not yours, because for some reason people don't dislike that as much. And most of the time it didn't work, but it did like 2 times we got it picked up. One of them was our Civilization video, and that turned into a whole series, and it's probably one of the most well-known series of videos that we've done. But that was kind of the start of it. And so I think it kind of, at some point we got big enough that our audience would share it on Reddit for us, just by default. We wouldn't have to keep doing that ourselves.
Gotcha. I have 0.
Do you interact a lot with your audience?
Yeah, when I first started, I would respond to probably half the comments that came through. And at this point, I still do read almost all of them. I'm not able to respond to all of them anymore, but I still have an app on my phone that I'll just scroll through constantly. And our primary source of income is a Patreon page where we have people just directly donating money. And those people we talk to pretty often. We have a Discord server just for them, so they have access just to message us directly whenever they want. And so if I can't, at least usually somebody else can. There's, at least 10 of us that are, any one person might be available at one time and hopefully be able to answer somebody. So I think we've done okay at kind of creating a sense that you can just sort of talk to us like normal people, which is also really important to us because we really don't like the weird kind of air of like quasi celebrity culture that happens on YouTube or any of that stuff. We're just making movies and we want people to talk to us like we're just people. So I think that helps.
Well, actually, Emily Blackman says they interact with us so much, and we absolutely.
Oh, do we have people here?
It's on one of the watch party on Austin Action Fest. That's why I'm watching like.
Oh, see, well, that's a good example.
I'm looking at different screens right now.
Yeah. I know her. I know that name. Like we know a lot. Most of the people that talk to us are people that are regularly talking to us. So we're
awesome.
Yeah, we know a lot of there are a lot of prominent like audience members that we would be as excited to meet in real life as they would to meet us. So it definitely feels more like a mutual trade-off than that weird sort of one-sided relationship that YouTube kind of creates sometimes.
Got you. So how did you guys come up with that strategy? Was it that you were reading some business books or something, or was it just you were fans of other people and you did the things that you thought you would want if you were someone else's fan?
I think that was mostly it. It was mostly emulation. It was I was familiar with enjoying other people's work. I knew what I liked. I understood sort of that feeling of like really enjoying someone's work to the point of feeling like you kind of knew them, but then knowing that you didn't. And I was very interested in the way that their lives kind of worked. So I definitely took a lot from, I think probably my biggest influences was Freddie Wong, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with. Yeah. I basically have copied all of the things that he did on his channel. Most of the advice that I followed and some of it that I still give now are things that I heard him talk about on his shows or on other people's shows, and just things that I observed that he did. And I've mostly just emulated some of his decisions, and it's worked out pretty well for me. And then following that, it's just kind of. I mean, yeah, we're just as much fans as we are creators. So we're observing how everybody else does things, and based on the way we started and sort of our perspective on it, there are certain things that are like we really like the way certain people conduct themselves, and there's certain things that we very much don't like, and try really, really hard to never touch and never steer into.
Copy. So far, what I've down is 1, we bend the rules when we have to. 2, we copy things that we like, which I think literally every filmmaker understands that we all do this. Like, be it Rodriguez style of action or something you saw on television, it's a game of duplication.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, and it's weird because both of the things you just mentioned are definitely things that you're told like not to do, or at least there's like this air of like I don't know, like you're like those are lesser things to do. Like you shouldn't. Their rules are in place for a reason, and originality is king. Yeah. But the biggest things I've learned from this entire experience is that the rules are all made up and are usually dumb, and and creativity is just about hiding what you stole it from.
Okay.
Effectively.
I'm writing this down. Rules are all made up and they are usually dumb.
You got to teach a class. You
class.
Well, it's frustrating because I went to film school. I took all the basic film class, like the most like by the book film classes you could possibly take. And they don't cover. It's weird because it's like I don't know. Now I look back and I'm like, were they ever actually on set, or did they do things? Did they make things themselves? Because having done it in real life, it's like most of the stuff I was taught is very optional or entirely wrong.
It's very optional. I've never heard that before. Very optional.
But they treat it like all this stuff is mandatory, like this is the way it's supposed to go, but it almost never is.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things that we talk about with Alex Ferrari and the other, distributors, is that there's a lot of things that we're taught of how we're supposed to do things.
Right.
And that works great under certain parameters, like the Hollywood system or whatever. But when you don't have some of those avenues, connections, resources, it's either we have to do this a different way or I don't get to do it at all. And so
right.
how important is the process?
Right.
So that makes perfectly good sense. Actually, we got a question. I know this is off topic a little bit, but someone asked, do you take any of the profits from the stuff that you're doing? Is there anything that you're like philanthropic or feel a need to engage in, or any causes that your company works with that you take a special interest in?
We haven't yet. We've only just now gotten to a point where we're able to start paying the people who've been working on the channel for free within the last couple of months.
Awesome.
But especially with the protests and everything that's been going on right now, we have actually just now started looking into I wanted to donate money somewhere. I wasn't even sure where. I just wanted to do something that could help. And at one point I was like, DoorMonster has way more money than I do. And as far as I'm aware, companies can't donate money. So we've started looking into it now. We don't have anything on the books immediately, but we are actually, we feel like we're in a stable enough position that we can start looking into those kind of things. It's been on my mind for years.
That's
we
awesome.
haven't been able to yet.
And one of the things I know, like for Action Fest and Ballistic Blade, is we try to, so just so you guys know, I'm Ben Reddick, director, Austin Action Fest. This is Edwin Quiones, which is one of my business partners in Ballistic Blade Entertainment. Like speaking at schools. One of the reasons we wanted to be successful in business is that now I get speaking engagements. Like I spoke at Manor High School, Manor. I spoke in Burlington, Vermont at their technical school, which is amazing, by the way. These kids have like studios and IMAX and stuff in high school. I'm so mad.
Yeah.
Like I get jealous when I see, I'm yay, great. And in my heart, there's fire.
Right.
It's like I wish I had this stuff when I was a kid, but getting to go talk to those guys and talk about the business side and the marketing side, because they're very talented, but maybe they're not thinking about all the stuff we're talking about niching down, etc. Was part of the reason I wanted to be successful. So that's awesome. You guys are gotten to a position where you can actually pay, you can pay your people, which is
that's very new.
Is that it? To be honest, like to you, for me, that's one of the most exciting days. Is when payday comes. I'm cutting checks. I'm like, I did something that was so useful and so beneficial to people that they paid me money that I can now give to other people to help them pay their bills.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's been a really long time coming payoff too, because these are people that have been helping me make videos since high school. Like most people don't even keep their high school friends past high school, and they're living next door to me and are making money off of this channel that we've created over the last several years. And yeah, it's been my primary goal for this whole time, has been to be to set up some kind of a system where everybody is just able to work on this full time and doesn't have to have other obligations because they're taken care of by the effort they put into the channel. Mm-hmm. And we're closer to that than we ever have been. And they're doing more, like half the, I pretty much did all the work for years. And at this point in time, it just by necessity, just because everybody else had jobs, I didn't have time to teach them how to do things. But we got 3 other people on the payroll now who are making 75% of the videos per month. And it's been great.
No, that's amazing. And I think every entrepreneurial venture kind of starts off that way. I had finagled my income to require so little to survive that I was able to be the first one in our company to kind of be independent. And so when we started Austin Action Fest, the way I like to do things is before I start paying people, I got to try it first. I need to see exactly how hard I was going to fail to know the value of the thing that I couldn't do. And then I'll bring someone in or I'll pay someone. But I like to give it a whirl. So the first Action Fest was, I think we just rented a room in the Austin School of Film. And we had a projector. And we just, it was no panels. It was nothing like fancy at all. It was like, can we do it?
Yeah.
And we did it. And they said, maybe this time we'll have concessions and actual coffee for people to drink.
Right.
And then it just like, it built up into like an actual thing. So as far as.
Something then, if you don't, I want to ask Kyle, what motivated you when you were starting this up? And like you said, you wanted to try it first. Like what pushed you to keep going? What made you not go, well, I'm not making money, I'm not seeing results, so I might as well just stop? What made you keep going?
I've never been really motivated by making money, I think is what it is. Like not to like sound high and mighty about it or anything, because I don't feel that way at all. It's really just,
It's okay.
I think, and it's okay to be motivated by wanting to have a job. That's fine. Most people are in the industry because they want to, and you don't have to be a starving artist to have artistic integrity. Like those two things aren't required to exist together. But I personally, if I'm not making movies, my brain is just constantly generating characters and stories and all of these different things, whether I want it to or not. If I'm doing anything else, it just builds up, and I have to put it somewhere. And so that's why I make things. That's because I have to get it out of my head. So I'm either making movies or I'm running D&D campaigns at the very least, writing something, or it has to be put down on somewhere. And it's just kind of like, it's a release that I need. It's just kind of something that's like, I couldn't not do it when it comes down to it. If I can, the only reason I need the money for it is so that I don't have to do other things. I pretty much hit my goal when I first started being able to support myself off the channel, and anything else after that is just bonus. The fact that I don't have to get up and go to a job is the only real goal monetarily I ever had.
That is awesome.
That's very rare. Most people don't get there.
I know. Yeah. I'm incredibly lucky to have been able to make it to that point.
That's cool. But there's also gonna be some talent and skill in there. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that as well. But I totally feel what you just said, because I'm the same way. I drew when I was younger, sketch artist. I thought I was gonna be an artist, but every time I draw a character, there was like a whole story building in my head.
Yeah.
I had like 4 or 5 ideas for different video games and anime, and I would, before we ever had talked really about having a company, I just saved them because it was in here, and I was like, man, I got to put it somewhere. Then when I wrote it down, I was like, I don't feel like I should just throw this away. And then later on, it comes back. I'm like, oh, here's a way to actually do this stuff. Like I have, I rap occasionally because it's fun, because where I grew up, people came up doing that. I had like notebooks full of lyrics that I didn't really have a plan for, but I still have a notebook full of lyrics that they'll probably never see the light of day. I'm ashamed of half of those things, but I had to get them out. I had to get them out somewhere. So as far as the YouTube and getting we figured out how you got so many followers and individuals engaged in your YouTube. Can you tell us some things about doing these Kickstarter campaigns? You can use any project and kind of talk about how you got, over 6 figures basically to do a Kickstarter campaign, whereas most of us out here have done a Kickstarter campaign. We got like $400 from grandma and maybe a couple of uncles or two, and that was pretty much it. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'm gonna be honest, I'm still not 100% sure how we did that. We knew that what we were asking for was insane, and so we essentially just overshot by as far as we possibly could, or tried to. We knew that if we're going to get this much money within a month, so we had a TV show pilot we wanted to do. We had made it through about 3 or 4 years of doing the sketches full time. And at that point, it was already kind of starting to feel tired, just that we had kind of gotten everything we could out of doing that. And we felt like we wanted to start moving on to some larger things. And we had several different concepts in mind. So we picked this TV show that we wanted to make. And we decided to go and put a Kickstarter up. And we did, I can't remember what all the main thing is that we live streamed like this every single day for an entire month. We basically had like a public access TV style fundraising campaign where we made up a whole schedule. The entire crew got in on it. We had different games, different events for an entire solid month. And it was an absolute nightmare. It was on top of that, we kept filming sketches because we wanted to put them up on the main channel to also promote the Kickstarter. And we wanted, I think, and then me and Allison decided to move in the middle of it too, because we were freaking idiots. And yeah, no, it was like, I don't know. When it comes down to it, I'm not smart enough to understand why it happened. The only thing I can guess is that we hadn't asked for that before. We had shown people what we could do on literally nothing. And it was intriguing enough that we had people put some faith in us and give us this money to help us try to take this next step. And so because of that, we're still really, really working hard on trying to get this thing made, because we owe it entirely to the people who just decided to drop in and give us money. Like, even when it gets to the point of when we actually start getting to talk to some people who might be able to distribute this for us, our first sort of requirement in any contract that we sign is going to be, you have to help us make sure that these rewards are fulfilled, because this wouldn't be happening if these people hadn't given us money. But yeah, I don't know. They just liked us for some reason. I really don't have a good answer for you. I wish I had more.
No, maybe it's the authenticity. Anybody chatting with you can see that you enjoy what you're doing. Like, you're making things that you think are entertaining. You kind of did it a different way than some of our previous guests. They're asking us to look at the market and figure out what people want, etc. You kind of got out there and said, I want to make this because I think it's cool. And then market the crap out of it to find those other people like yourself, which, if you have the money or the time, that is another way of attacking the beast. And what you talked about earlier is, you said you're not sure how. You did exactly what Alex Farrar mentioned as well. You gave away content. You provided value first, and then you built trust because they saw that you could complete some things. And then you asked for, hey, we're trying to do more of what you've already seen me do. Because I've seen plenty of Kickstarters where someone's like, yeah, man, I've never actually even smelled a camera.
Right.
I've never touched a film set, and I do not know what a script is, but I'm going to make the next great movie. And this is why you need to give me $100,000 in order to do. And you're like, hey, man, I don't know. Probably not going to do that. Probably going to pass.
I think you're right. I think it's like showing that you know what you're doing is honestly goes a long way. Like showing who you are first is something that a lot of people don't want to take the time to do. And honestly, a lot of it is just that time investment first. And I think it probably helped that it was obvious that we were doing this because we enjoyed it anyway. And our sell was essentially like, we're going to make this one way or the other, but if you want it to be good, you can donate some money and then maybe that'll help.
But it's happening.
And people went for it. And we got the pilot shot. And I saw somebody asking about we always have, every single time we bring it up, somebody asks about what's going on with it. And it's in my least favorite part of this entire process so far, which is we're waiting for our producers to get people to notice it.
Are you allowed to give the title, tell them the name? Because I see it in I don't know if you're allowed to say names and stuff. Or
of the series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's called Skyvault. It's ours. It's our thing. I can do what I want with it.
Okay, he was asking. I was like, you're like the project. I'm like, is he dodging that for a reason?
Right. No. Yeah. Sorry. I'm so used to talking about it. I forget which information I've given out already. It's called. Yeah. It's Skyvault. It's a TV show that we want to make, and we originally raised the money to make the series on our own, and we ended up meeting some people that convinced us that if we made it as a pilot first, it would be easier to sell and get produced on the scale we were wanting. And I still think that's true, but it has changed up the way that the process has gone. And then as a result, we still owe. I feel like we still owe the people who donated all this money the rest of what we originally said we were going to create. So we still have this thing that we're working on in the background as we're doing day-to-day channel work.
That is awesome. And that was all Austin. Was it mostly Austin actors and crew and all that, or was it?
It was almost entirely local. Yeah, we ended up hiring 2 people from out of state to play a couple of parts that we were gonna. Because originally, again, it was gonna be only us. So I was gonna be playing a part in it along with somebody else, and we ended up getting it down to where it was like only 2 of us. But at that point, all the actors were gonna be better than we were. So we were like, all right, we'll concede. We're not gonna bring this down by being in it ourselves when clearly we shouldn't be. And so we hired on a couple more people last minute, and they ended up coming in from out of state. And they're like we want them in the final version now. They did such a better job than we ever would have done. You guys worked with them actually.
Oh well, yeah, we got to do a little bit. It was our pleasure, right? And it looked amazing. I was very jealous. I'm looking because it looks like some Indiana Jones, like with the. I'm into costumes, man.
Yeah.
So like anything that's like period or whatever, I'm in.
Yeah.
I have like 10 costumes here, just ready to rock and roll. Everyone's like, I need a mercenary and I need a ninja. Got you. I already got it.
Right.
Which color do you want? So actually, I think Edwin had a question for you.
Oh, no, I was just asking if I could ask him.
Yeah, you can ask one if you got one.
Oh no, I don't have one now.
No. Okay, he's waiting.
But I
just for later, just when he thinks of one.
You want to know if he had the option.
I want to know if I had the option. Like, just stare at him.
They can see you. I mean, you're a co-host now. You've been promoted.
Actually, no. I did want to ask you because you answered it before, but I think I want to ask again so everybody else can hear. Because you did fight choreography.
Oh,
intensive.
Yeah.
I did.
I would say.
I trained for the part that I ended up having.
Yeah. And like,
I forgot about that.
Can you talk about that again? Was it easier? Because I'm sure you grew up watching the same stuff we did, and like when I was little, I thought I can do anything. Like I saw like Power Rangers, I can do that.
Right.
I know, like, but really, I really have no basis for actually knowing if I can do that.
So actually, I have a good story about this from that thing because it was very fun. I love doing the fight choreo. I really want to be doing more of it, and I wish I could do more of it now. I'm excited for when we get to do it for our next movie. But I at some point in my life, somewhere probably around high school, I was under no disillusion that like I was like the action hero at all. Like I knew I wasn't. I could look in the mirror and be like, the only way I'm a protagonist in a movie is if that movie is like super bad or something. That's what I look like. I'm acknowledging that now. I'm not the superhero. But as I got older, I started realizing like I actually could like be like that's changeable if I really want it to be. And so I can. Yeah, like it just takes work and practice, and so I trained with you guys, and I started taking Kung Fu here in San Antonio, and just exercising and just getting more in shape, and so I kind of started getting some of that back. But I specifically remember one moment where at BAM we had done the training, and then they were doing the lightsaber tag game where people are like jumping around on the gym in there, and you have to not touch the ground. And I got into it enough at one point that I was like up on a high platform and saw someone running down below, and in between me and them there's a horizontal bar, and in my head I was like, I can jump down there, grab it with one arm, swing down and hit him with a stick.
Wow.
And so I jumped, I grabbed it, and I was like, no, I can't. and slipped right off and just fell flat on my face. Because for some reason, for a second in that moment, I was like, this will work. I don't know why I think my body can do this, but
you thought you had the plot armor going? Nice. That is amazing.
Well, no, because see, the reason we bring it up is because this past year, like almost the opposite's been happening. So you know how you guys came every week to train,
yeah,
times two, and it was like intense, and we went to work with. Now we're getting stuff where people are like, I can just do this,
right.
So like, let me get this 20-man fight scene down. I was like, do you know how long that's gonna take and how hard that's gonna be? And they're like, I can do it. I was like, you watch too many movies. I can't believe I just said that. But I was like,
my heart can't take watching you try to do that.
Yeah, I was like,
right.
I was like, but so I guess I'm just saying like a thank you for actually showing up and then actually doing it, whether or not you actually were in the short or not, and everybody else that actually came out because
trained hard.
They all trained hard and they got the scene shot, which is.
And what you're saying is important because people often don't realize, and this Michelle was talking about, and all the Jennifer Hutchins, everybody talks about these different positions you don't think about, even being a PA. Like you need people to do other positions, and when you try to do everything by yourself, that is a very quick way to get burned out. For one, but two, it's never gonna be as good as if someone else is doing it and they have any kind of level of skill. I want to point this out. I was trying to do a Kung Fu movie, had no crew that day, but I had an actor. I put it on a tripod, it was like in the green belt. I had to run through this obstacle course doing parkour, get to this bridge and do this training sequence. And then, like, in post, I had to, like, push in so maybe you wouldn't know that no one was holding the camera.
Yeah.
And it was not as good as look, listen, it's an independent film, okay? We're getting stuff shot, okay? But it was not good. It was completed, but it was not good. And so I was, man, you know what? I really need to, if I can get someone else to do this thing, they will be better than me at it. And that is what is most important, is like getting the best shot I possibly can get, not just what I can get.
That is the ultimate goal, yeah. And I do think it's really important to recognize when at least if you want it done in a timely fashion, maybe you can't do everything, or at least can't do everything better than a group of people can. It kind of reminds me of there's the triangle diagram though of like time, cost, and quality, and you have to pick two. Yeah. Like you have to get rid of one of those at some point. So it's not that like doing it by yourself isn't possible. You just have to accept the fact that means it's going to take you way longer than it would normally, which might be a fair trade. That's usually our go-to sacrifice is time. We usually the quality is kind of non-negotiable for us, and we are okay with putting the time into it. And so we've done similar things where like a recent video we just put out, we were able to make look entirely handheld, even though it was not, there was only two of us there. Nobody was holding the camera. But with some extra time put into it, we were able to sort of like trick that. Like there's lots of ways to get around things. You just have to be okay with not having everything at once. You have to be able to sacrifice what you need in order to make sure that the other parts are taken care of.
Exactly. So I do have a question on your Kickstarter. Let's talk a little bit about this Kickstarter you did for Skybolt. You tell us the parameters, like how long did you set it for, around about how much did you raise, and like tell me what that was like for you.
So the final amount we got was a little over $150,000. We had
90,000.
Nope.
Oh my God!
We had aimed for higher, so we had done some math before this, and we realized like there are about 3 different tiers we could do this at. We could do it, but not great at 150. For about 350, we could do it all right, and then higher, like there's another tier that was like this is like our ideal version. And we just barely hit the bottom line at the end of the month. So it's good that we set the goal down there, or we wouldn't have gotten any of the money, because that's how Kickstarter works. But it was literally within the last hour that we hit the goal.
Wow.
Out of that entire month. And so yeah, we were left with like, we had that amount, and again, there was more money than we'd ever seen. Like, I never knew I was going to be like moving that amount of money around at all. So
Yeah.
I had zero complaints, and we fully intended to make the entire season by ourselves, kind of in like a, more or less a similar quality to how a lot of our sketches currently look now. And so it was, leading up to that, it was exciting, but it was also extremely stressful, because we were trying to, as usual, kind of reach beyond what we actually had the means to do.
Gotcha.
And yeah, we ended up in that process, through some of the actors that we hired, because we did a lot. We did a full casting session. We did all this stuff on our own, and then through one of the actors, we ended up talking to a producer that was also a local producer who has her own company and is small, kind of like us, and but has some more of like the industry know-how and connections than we do, and wanted to help us get this thing made in a way that was actually going to be, like sellable to something like Netflix or to Hulu or like a big company, and actually be on an industry platform rather than just putting it up on the YouTube channel. And we wanted to not be foolish with the amount of money that we had. So we thought it over a lot, and we ended up changing the plan to just be on a pilot episode. And at that point, it's $150,000 for one episode, and that's a whole different game than it was before. Then it turned into a big production. Which was a different, it ended up feeling like a very large scale project after that, because because the project itself scaled down and the same amount of money was applied.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. And I mean, that amount of money, most people aren't going to raise that amount. Most people aren't probably going to see 150 at one time. And,
yeah.
Like, I probably just would have just let it sit in the account and just marvel. I probably would have done that for a little bit. Did people see that and maybe start coming to you, asking you like, "Hey, I got this idea, Kyle. Hey, buddy."
So we didn't quite get that, but we did definitely. So I'm trying to think of the best way to to jump into this without launching into a whole rant. This
sounds.
He should like ran away.
Interest peaked.
This was our first experience with industry professionals since I had been to film school. Since then, I had receded to my own little internet bubble, and we had created this whole world for ourselves in which we had our own rules, and this is the way things worked. And so this is the first time going back and working with people who were used to being on not more professional sets, but definitely sets that thought they were more professional than we were. We're
getting all the salt and savagery today, guys.
And at the same time, I think that nobody on our crew had ever actually worked for a project that had that amount of money before. So they showed up with this expectation that did not match what they got, because instead of somebody who would be making a $150,000 pilot under normal circumstances, it was us. And we didn't do things the way they were used to, but they definitely were there because of like the size of the project and the amount of money that was available. And it kind of it colored our experience of the film industry and Hollywood and working on larger projects within that arena very significantly, to the point where we have brand new entire like policies and plans on how we're going to be making future projects to specifically avoid a lot of the things that happened during that project.
I think a lot of filmmakers say we want Hollywood to come rescue us, save us, and all that stuff, but I don't think we really do, because with Hollywood comes all of Hollywood's rules, Hollywood's way of doing things. And I mean, I admit to being a little scrappy, a little indie in the way that I shoot things, and having a Hollywood setup or whatever could make it less relaxed or less fun. So I could definitely see that.
I think what it does is that it makes it really easy to lose sight of what your actual motivation is based on the people we interacted with there. It offers money, and it offers respect to a degree from your peers, like professional appearance, and I think the issue is that when you first start making movies out in your backyard, nobody is going out with their friends to shoot an action film because they want fame or because they want money or because they want the Hollywood elite to recognize them. That's not the motivation when you start. But by the time you get into that world, that seems to be the driving force behind everybody's actions and decisions rather than actually making something. And I think when you first enter that world, the traditional way is you enter as a PA or something, and you kind of work your way up and you become sort of integrated into it as you go. And for us, we had developed, again, our entire own made up way of doing things from the outside, and then just got smashed together with this other world. And so it didn't mix very well in most cases.
And what you're referring to, we call it, it's kind of like we have a term we use called glam directing. Where what happens is that you have a person who really wants to, they want to be the star of a thing, and they'll bring it to you and say, hey man, I want to do this thing, it'll be awesome, yada yada yada. Typically it's a passion project, there's not a lot of money involved. So they'll bring you in to do it, and they're bringing other people in so that they can be the star. So I've seen that happen a lot of times. And I mean, if you're really talented, you have a person who really wants to, that can work. But if you're not really, where's that coming from? It'd be awesome, yada yada yada. Typically,
someone has the Facebook up, so you need to take it down.
So they'll bring you in to do it, and they're bringing other people in so that I'm on.
There you go.
No es mío. But I speak a little Spanish. But no, we have people who come in and if you're really, really talented, that can work. But if you're not really, really talented and you got somebody else coming in and you're the lead actor and you're probably the director or maybe you wrote it, it's hard for someone, there's no one to pull the best out of you if it's your thing and you're the one with the vision. So you just have to have written an amazing screenplay, be an amazing actor and fighter. It's a whole lot to make that come together. But we have definitely experienced those who seem to be less concerned about the project and more concerned about a demo reel. And I'm like, all right, man.
I mean, it seemed like most of the people that we worked with were kind of like what you said. Everybody wanted to be the star of the project, and that was kind of their motivation for being there. Is they wanted to stand out. They were there because they thought they could get something from it. I think, which again makes I get that world. I understand that it exists and how, and that people have to that entire. That ladder and that set of rules has existed for decades, and it's not really something that you can just sort of ignore and still be a part of it. So I understand it, but it definitely was kind of a wake-up call to us for maybe this isn't actually what we want. It's felt like the end game this whole time. It feels like you're doing YouTube and you're doing all this stuff so that you can eventually move up into this higher arena of Hollywood and the film industry and this professional filmmaking world. But having now been, in a very, very mild version of it, I have to imagine, because again, it was just, we were still running it. So I don't even like it must be way worse like in LA on somebody else's set than it was for us. And just that one little taste, we were like, this, like all the things we enjoy about our day-to-day job are just buried here underneath all this other stuff. So maybe this isn't actually what we want. Maybe we need to seek out other methods of making this stuff happen for ourselves rather than trying to go along this existing path, because we've gotten used to doing it this other way. And I can go on a really, really long tangent complaining about exactly why I think it's problematic and all
drag anybody today. But we appreciate you being that candid about it, because a lot of filmmakers are looking at what you guys have done and what you were able to do, and we're looking at that and going, that's the goal. And to hear other people from the other side say, not really. It may not be everything you think it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, well, I think it's important to question that, at least. Maybe it is what you want, maybe it isn't, but try to, if you've felt like that is 100% where you're supposed to be for your entire life, but you've never actually experienced it, you might end up being disappointed. It's hard to know without getting into it.
He had a Tony Montana moment, like he's in the mansion, he's got the tiger and the woman and the whole nine, and it's not enough.
It kind of felt like that a little bit, and we hadn't even. It's not like we weren't in that room. We just saw it like through a window. It wasn't even. We hadn't even gotten there yet. We were just like passing by, like, oh, wouldn't it be great to be there, and kind of look in and like, oh no, that looks bad. That looks real bad, actually. We should change course.
But that was actually really good. So I see someone, Justin had a comment. He said, let me pull it back up. He said, when it comes to angel investors supplying necessary capital that you believe you need, I think it comes down to what message you're trying to get across. If it's good or if it brings light to the darkness or whatever. Do you feel like one of the reasons your Kickstarters have been so successful is the message that you're bringing in some of those things in your projects, or do you think it's more so you have maybe content that is providing like escape, maybe? Do you feel like?
Yeah, I think probably more the second one. I think if anything, it's any kind of message we may have already brought. I don't think people really are that invested in ideas. They're invested in finished products and they're invested in other people. But like I'm invested in my ideas. I have these stories I want to tell and I'm excited about them, but nobody else is ever going to be as excited about them as I am. So the things that I think are driving people to support those are again, like you said before, it's the stuff we've already made. It's the stuff that we did without help, for free. And ideally, hopefully, the kind of creators it sort of shows us to be, and our values and the kind of messages that that we've already displayed that we believe in. And so I think at that point, the people who are donating are people who are like, they want to see more of that. They want to see something like that, but bigger. They want to see that expanded. They want to see what can be done with more resources. Because we do have, our second one that we did recently for our new movie is a sequel to a movie that already existed. So it's actually maybe even a little bit more of an example of that, where they already had seen what this was on basically no money, include like message, quality, everything about it. Like it already existed. And so we were basically saying, we want to make more. And if we get with this last one cost this amount of money. So if we get this amount of money, it will be that many times better than the first one. And so I think it gave everybody something really tangible, is the idea, is that it gives them like a really solid idea of like, I'm going to be getting this thing that I already like, but this much more of it. And so I think that probably helps, just making it. Yeah.
So I think we got 8 rules so far. One, the rules of Kyle of the Sullivan. Great. Bend the rules, be a style bender. Copy. Rules are number 3. Rules are all made up and they're usually dumb, which is true. If you think about jump cutting, it was a rule I was taught, and then everybody does it in their podcast now. 4, creativity is hiding where you stole it from, hiding the bodies. 5, it can't be all about money. 6, you don't have to be a starving artist to have artistic integrity. That was a gold nugget bomb. 7, live stream your fundraisers. Okay. And then 8, give value and build trust. So 9, I think, let's think about some things that you picked up technique-wise, strategy-wise, during some of these crowdfundings and these Kickstarters and things. Like, what are some specific things that you learned in the process that someone could take away to be more effective in their crowdfunding?
That's a good question. What did work? So I think the things that gave there was actually one video per crowdfunding session that gave each one a huge boost, and they were both really short, really succinct, and got straight to the point extremely quickly. I think that's probably helpful advice no matter how big of a following you already have, because I've seen a lot of Kickstarter pages that they just have these really, really long descriptions of like what the project is and what we're going to be using it for, and here's all this inspirational music in the background, and there's all these guides on how to get people emotionally invested. But the things that really like got a whole bunch of people in, like for our new movie coming up, The Guards Themselves 2, the thing that sold that was me dressing up as one of our popular characters, which is just me in a fake beard and a hat, very quickly screaming at the camera for about 30 minutes about one reward they could get for $7. That was it. And that one video and the one reward for $7 got us probably 80% of our donors from that. The video did super well, sent everybody there because everybody wanted this one stupid piece of signed paper for $7.
Something that you said for a while is you keep connecting with your audience. Like that's what I keep hearing you say. You connect with the people that watch you, and you keep that relationship going. I think that's why people continue to like give their money too, because they're like, oh, we like him.
I think you're right. Yeah, it's definitely, and it's not. Again, we're not good at marketing. We're not advertising or like selling ourselves. It's really more just. I think it's more of the transparency than anything. We just openly tell people like, hey, this is what we're working on now. This is where we're at. This is what you can kind of expect from us in the future. And then when we do need things, it feels less like we're coming out of the blue, I think, and asking people for a favor suddenly, because it feels more like there is this kind of mutually existing relationship between like us and the audience who supports us and has been letting us do this whole time.
Yeah.
I think that, having spent a few years building that relationship, I really think is the biggest help to our success, the biggest cause of our success so far in fundraising.
Got you. That makes a tremendous amount of sense. So rule number 9 is be short and to the point. 10, connect the audience. Gonna put that there. We got like 10 rules out of you so far. Like 10 legit, usable pieces of information and techniques that we can utilize.
We call them the Sully technique.
The Sully. Sully, hey, Sully, what are you doing over there? Get over here. Doing a podcast. I don't even know that. Doesn't matter. So what do you have going on next, and how are you planning to attack that? You said there's another project that you're currently working on.
Yeah, well, so we in October we raised another $30,000 unrelated to the first one for a sequel to a.
So we're at 180K.
Yeah.
you've raised.
That I owe back to people in the form of movies. I think about it every day. We made I made my senior project back in film school, and my overambition started pretty early, and I decided to make an entire feature-length superhero movie with like 40 actors in it because I was insane and didn't know any better, and did it and then put it up on the channel, and people have been enjoying it and asking for a sequel for a while.
What's
so
that
we
called?
decided
What's that-
to go
what's
and
the
make
name
it.
of that?
It's called The Guards Themselves. It is a sort of like a superhero, like really like what's the right word to say? We kind of combined like superheroes with like Arrested Development style sitcom, like filming style.
Got it.
And so we have, a sequel coming out to that we raised money for in October. And then some stuff happened. So we haven't been able to get everybody together to work on it as fast as we wanted to. But we've been making sure that the script is as solid as possible, and we've already been in contact with you guys about making sure that we're kind of like we're still kind of in the early stages of planning out all the different things that we want to include. We want to really make sure we spend a good amount of time on the artistry of it in every possible way that we can. So we want to make sure, obviously, that we get our actors in with you guys to really learn their stuff for the fight scenes. And we're spending a lot of time on the script, honing it in, making sure that it's, worth filming in the first place. I've been learning CGI and VFX stuff to help sort of enhance it. And I think in the end, this break will end up being very helpful because it gave us more time to kind of prepare. And the more time you put into pre-production, the less time you have to put into the rest of it afterwards.
And hopefully people right now are taking the time to do that. I mean, this is a great time to write. If you're not working, great time to be writing, doing all that pre-production stuff that no one wants to ever do. You need unique people for that. I'm not that guy. Don't ask me to do it. Looks like Emily Blackman says it's because we all love Kyle and know he doesn't sleep enough, and we hope that if we donate enough money, he might go take a nap and get some sleep. So look at the fans are here. And I don't know who, okay, Andy Rosine, I'll put a link to the guards themselves. Right, I see it.
Oh, good.
Kyle, I think I told you this the first time I saw that. Allison shared it to me. She was like, oh, they do stuff like this. And in my head, because my ego goes, yeah, this is cool. I called Ben and told him, dude, this is like better than anything we've done like a couple of years ago.
Did I?
And in my head, and then Allison was like, how'd you like it? I was like, it's cool. I mean, it's whatever. It's not like anything.
Okay, but we need you guys real bad because there's like a fight scene. There's a fight scene in that first one that is just we literally showed up and just had to make it up on the fly because I knew nothing about how to do a fight back then.
That's how it goes. So I'm super excited. When you guys asked me to be on, I was hoping that you would, but I told you that night. I speak for Ben. He's been wanting to do something like this for a while. So he's been talking about stuff like this for a while. So I'm
really excited the character that you'll be playing, Ben, is like one of the favorite characters. Like people are gonna know who you are on our channel very well after the movie comes out because that's everyone's favorite character already just from the first movie.
What's funny is that what he just said, I literally mentioned this in a previous podcast. Who are we talking to, Keisha? Where I mentioned when me and Edwin see things, we want the best for everyone. We're compassionate capitalists and all that. But when we see other stuff, we're like, man, we got to smash that. This isn't good. We got to do a better one than that. Like it's the competition. So, so he confirmed it. I didn't tell him to say that. It's just this is.
Because I don't think I ever told you guys that. I just told you guys that. Oh yeah, we'll do it. And I was okay with that. But I remember seeing it the first time, and I was like, are you kidding me? Because we hadn't did Rob or anything. Yeah. We hadn't did Rob. We hadn't did a lot of stuff. So I was just like in my head. I was like, bro, this is getting upset right now. Highly upset, and I I hadn't met you yet.
Yeah.
I knew Allison. I hadn't met you. I'm like, I don't like this guy already. I don't even know him. And then I don't like his face.
I totally get that. I've had plenty of that with other people on, especially now because I'm getting like old enough that I'm seeing other 20-year-olds making stuff on YouTube. That's like I wasn't able to do that 8 years ago.
Blocks or whatever. The kid that had the I think he opens Legos or something like that. He's like 8. It makes like $1 million or something weird off YouTube. I look at this stuff and I'm like, man, what in my life? Oh my God. And I'm like happy for these people. And at the same time, like, I have got to get it together. And I know you run your own race. I got it. But like, I'm a competitive person. So when I see someone else making these moves, I'm analyzing and going like, what can I do? What can I take from that will allow me to be more effective, more useful? From anything that I see because to me, film, I came in with the mind that it is art and business at the same time. It's both of them at the same time. So anytime I see anything in business or art that's effective, like I saw Hamilton, I was like, bro, I could totally write some killer historic bars about the Constitution.
Yeah.
I've got fire for these people. How can we do this? I can sing a little bit. Leslie Odom, I'm coming for your spot, sir.
I mean, that's honestly been like the biggest, that's what motivates me to do anything is I watch something else that I'm amazed by and I'm just like, I want to make that. I just want to make that exact thing that they made. And usually what I do is I wait long enough to see like 2 or 3 of those things and then I combine them together. And so that way it's less obvious that I'm like just imitating one person, but that's pretty much most of, I mean, it's just like, I'll watch, we have, another future movie idea that we want to make that's animated just because we love Into the Spider-Verse so much. We're like, we want to make something that looks like that because that's just incredible looking.
Let's chat. We had I don't know if you caught Wesley Lewis over here, but he was here from The Line. They did Atomic Ninja Rabbit and Grand Piton. Stuff looks amazing. Like we saw them at a festival before and Joe asked them to come on. And so like, here's animators here. You can talk to them about these projects. Because part of the reason for Austin Action Fest, I want to be clear for people who maybe didn't catch the rest of these. Part of the purpose is to bring people in the comments. We've had people make like business connections in our comment section. We didn't get to have a physical event this year, but we're going to have a mixer because we really wanted to promote all this stuff. Jennifer Hutchins is doing the Austin Entertainment Business groups and meetings. We're trying to promote people being combined and working together because when you don't have Hollywood to back you, we need to be better as far as the way our artistic community comes together. Like we're putting together things like we did we're finishing this up, but we did an improv movie because I saw people on Indie Film Hustle talking about doing movies with scriptness. So I wrote like a loose idea with a little bit of a general gist of where the story is supposed to go. And we went out and we shot up to 28 hours over the course of 3 days. That's where we are right now. We have like one scene left. And the whole plan was, can we do a movie in like 3 or 4 days? Not like just 24-hour short films.
Yeah.
Can I do like a movie in 48? Can I do a movie in 72? It was a test. And so if you can, and you have pretty good improv actors, and this is something I learned also from our other guest, Alex Ferrari with This Is May. You get pretty good improv actors, and especially if you're doing something that's not necessarily super dramatic, maybe a little bit of comedy where people have a little more leeway to play around. You get 2 or 3 actors that know each other and they're comfortable and you can direct them a bit. You get a couple of cameras and you rip and run. You can get a movie shot in a couple of days. That's
a really cool idea, actually. I like that a lot.
What if we do one and then there's another group and they do one and we come help them on theirs, and then this other group they do one and we all help them on theirs. So now there's 3, 4, 5 projects going out that year. Yeah. That are getting you seen, getting out there.
So, no, that's a good. I need to. I despite my entire career being based off of this sort of like this idea of making things good enough and then just releasing them and not spending too long. I still have all these perfectionist tendencies that make me just take way too long on things. But I love stuff like that because it's like giving yourself that challenge and accepting that it might not be good at the end, and that's okay. And just letting yourself learn through that process, it has been the absolute fastest way to get better for me. Like that's been the biggest change in my life has come from doing things like that. Cause we didn't do full movies, but we had like Monday, a sketch is going up. Doesn't matter how finished it is, that video is going up. So like allocate the time wisely and make sure it's as done as it can be before that, even if you have to sacrifice a couple things. And then you learn from that. And so then by the 20th time you do it, it's like, okay, well, I know what to prioritize and what not to prioritize, because I know what's going to take longer and what's going to be more obvious in the final version. And like, so yeah, I think stuff like that is really important to making any kind of like quick progress as an artist, is giving yourself these like really strong limitations on things.
And I think I think it's Stephen Copper out in New York. I think it's Sambo Steve and his group. They do a fight scene like a specific day. They go on a practice, rehearse, shoot a fight scene. Like that day, it gets happened. And I mean, giving yourself those constraints, and if you combine that with whoever is getting better at filmmaking and picking up shots and doing the cut in their head, like everyone does a lot of the cutting in his head before we've done. I'll plan a lot of things out. He'll be on set figuring out, okay, I'm gonna move this here, I'm gonna do this here, I'm gonna do this here.
I never do that.
Yeah, he does all the time. I'm like, Edwin, we got to shoot this cop. We got to shoot this cop interrogation. He's like, okay, we're gonna get the light, drop it here. I'm gonna go here. I need the close up. I need to move it this way because they do it like this in Law and Order.
Right.
Exactly.
Other people have figured this stuff out. Just imitate that. Like, it's not that big of a deal. You only have to do one really unique thing in a project for people to go like, man, those guys are so creative. How'd they figure out all that stuff? You do all the rest of it, and then you just do like one special thing, and then it'll look like you know how to, like you came up with all this stuff by yourself.
Yeah, but that's the whole thing, is like if doing it so frequently that you can just get it down. Like you know what you need and what you don't need.
Right.
Saves you a lot of time too. Because a lot of times, I mean, I've been on sets where we shot 20, 30 takes. And I'm like, I can't tell you what's different between some of these takes.
No, I mean, that's a good, and I'm guilty of that myself. But yeah, no, at one point we did this video where like we were really pressed for time, and thankfully Allison was on set, and she was like, you get 2 at most. Like if you have to redo one, you get a second one. And it was fine. Like the video is up on our channel, and you can't tell the difference, even though the other ones we did 30 times and that one we did twice. Like we still made it work.
That is awesome.
Add that to the list, Ben. You only need to do one creative thing.
Oh, you're right. Ben, sorry.
That's golden.
One creative thing to fool people into believing that you're awesome.
This is a question for you, Kyle. If you were writing your autobiography, what would it be called?
I've already decided on this. I think it's either That Shouldn't Have Worked, But It Did, or or That Took Way Longer Than I Thought It Would.
I like the first one.
I like the first one. That was cool. The word did.
That is amazing. So, I think we kind of went through all the financial stuff, but just curious, like if you could work on anything tomorrow, an existing property. Now, maybe it's not a movie that's being made. Maybe it's a comic book.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man?
Yeah.
I was just saying that, like Spider-Man.
Boom.
I know he would do Spider-Man. Either that or Star Wars related, but it's probably Spider-Man.
Definitely Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's why Spider-Man.
I don't know. I've always loved Spider-Man. It's just my favorite. I watched Spider-Man cartoons and played the games and stuff back when I was a kid, and it's always been my favorite superhero. I don't know the reason. It's probably just because he's made for me. I was a nerdy white kid that wanted to be a superhero growing up, so. Got it.
Hey, man, say no more. Listen, nerd, over here. Tell them, bro, there's photos of me at Ren fairs, bro, in costume. And if I'm like, if you're coming with me to a Ren fair, you're getting dressed. We're not going in there looking like civilians. I outfitted 2-3 people to come do these things. So I'm like, we're gonna go. Let's go.
My Ren Fair photos have been printed on canvas and displayed on my office wall in order, one from each year.
Taking it to the next level. I've got a new goal. Got it. Because for everyone, actually, you know what?
No.
You have no idea.
I don't do Ren fairs. I don't dress up.
They're so great.
Direct one title.
If I could direct now, I'm gonna say this. I'm sounding like Kyle now because I don't want to rant. I
know yours too.
I would want to make a Blade film.
I knew that's what it was going to be, and it was going to be
Blade, or if I can just work on a movie, no matter what it was, would have been a Ninja Turtle movie.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But like, I don't mind being any. Like, I would. In fact, back in the day, like when they had like the actual teenagers or whatever, and they were the foot soldiers, I would like to be like a hero foot soldier.
Oh, okay.
So not just like a background one, like one that's a little
like
more
a putty.
skilled,
Like
yeah.
Not one of the putty.
But yeah, and there's a lot of Blade fan films that I've been watching, and I think I can put my hat in there.
Yep.
Let's just
all right, so we got a couple Kickstarters to get going. Keisha, do you have anything?
I'm looking to see if we have any last questions.
I know I got your question for you is what I'm asking.
Oh.
There's a project.
Oh, do we have any questions? Let me see.
No, if you could pick any property, which one would you direct? Which one would you take on making?
Anything that's already established, right?
That exists in the world. Like, it doesn't have to be a movie. It could be a book. Like, if you could do one movie, what would it be though?
Oh, okay. I'm gonna take it a little bit different. I know if I could work with any one person, I know who that person would be and who I would want to direct. It would be Megan Good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not see that answer coming. So
yeah. That's like my dream person. If I ever get to work with her, I think I'll be like, I made it.
Yo,
like, is there a particular
this voice in the darkness, I gotta say, it's Sullivan, Washington. Yo, Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Period. That's the man that I want to work with.
Got you. I think there's a lot of people I would enjoy working with, but if you give me a choice of picking a person I prefer or doing a movie that I want to make, that is not even. There's like 4 that I'd be all over giving any shot at all. One is a book, Stephen Erickson, called it's The Malice and Fifth, Stephen Erickson and Ian Esselmont. It's this series of fantasy novels that is obscene. It's kind of like reading Conan because it's got so much anthropology in it, but it's just epic combat. And I would look at magic and swords and freaking werewolves. I'm freaking in there, right? I would love to take a shot. There's a Sega Saturn game. People are not going to know this. Called Guardian Heroes. It's the greatest video game I think has ever been made. Sega Saturn, Guardian Heroes. It looks like an anime. It's freaking amazing. I would do work on that. In a Tekken movie. I think I could make that. I think I could make a Tekken movie really, really, really work.
I would watch a Tekken movie made by you guys for sure.
You know, I feel like we did Wu Ping versus Rob, and this guy was like, "Yo, you play Tekken? I can tell by the combinations." And he was like, "It looks like Heihachi." And that was like one of the greatest compliments I had ever received in my lifetime.
That's great.
We do have another question that came in. And Kyle, they're asking, this is from Andy. He says, will you continue sketches on your channel?
Yeah. Like me personally, we're kind of split up. We have like 2 different houses for DoorMonster now, and we have one group that's kind of making a lot of the stuff, but I'm still doing 1 sketch a month on my end. So each month we have like 1 big cinematic sketch that I spend the entire month on, which has been great because I kind of, after you do something enough, eventually you just kind of you learn everything that you need to learn from one particular project, and then you have to I think be able to know when it's time to move from one thing to another. And so now I'm doing longer term 1 month videos where I'm doing like more CGI and special effects, and kind of spending more time on kind of making them look more cinematic and doing some stuff I wasn't able to do before. So yes, if you tune in and subscribe to the channel still, we still have one like random video game based sketch coming out per month, and then we have the other team that's doing D&D sketches once a month as well by themselves.
That's awesome.
Awesome that y'all have been able to. You have so many people now. You've been able to split yourselves.
Yeah.
That's
Get more
amazing.
accomplished.
So,
Yeah.
so you're saying that they're doing sketches and you're not even there?
Yeah, no, they're doing all of it.
Wow.
Ian's writing them. They're shooting them while they're there, and then we have an editor that I'm not sure you guys have met that's editing them all
Yeah.
together by
You
himself.
feel like a proud father. You're like, oh, my little
Yeah.
boy.
No, yeah, because I'm very, I'm in controlling, I guess is the right word. I'm really picky about how things turn out.
Particular.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, no, there was like I don't remember exactly which one it was, but there was one video that came out that I didn't have any input in from start to finish, and I watched it and I was like, I don't need to be there anymore. That I can finally like take a breath and relax and know that it's being handled.
And actually, just for anybody jumping in, I appreciate you, Justin. Appreciate you engaging, everybody in the comments. Just so you guys know, we're talking to Kyle Sullivan. I'm on Instagram now too. Kyle Sullivan, the owner, CEO, DoorMonster.
Yeah, those two things.
Overlord, the overlord of DoorMonster TV.
Overlord, sure.
And just you guys that understand, go back and watch the beginning of this. Kyle was able to raise over 180 grand and counting, I guess, in funds to create.
I don't like hearing the numbers added together like that. It stresses me out.
150. Wait. Okay, fine. 150 on one campaign, and then 30 grand on another campaign. So, if for anybody out there that's got like a pride thing, take that jab. Take that. Take it. But he was able to raise that with his team for 2 different projects. So we're talking to him about what it took to to make that happen, and some general ideas about his filmmaking team and his YouTube team. We've got the 11 rules of Kyle of the Sullivans over here that I will be releasing. This is definitely going out like to the masses. It's super cut because it's genius stuff. Pearls of wisdom from Kyle.
We need some shirts.
Hey, gotta get us some shirts too, man. I gotta get some shirts so I can represent, DoorMonster Film Fest.
Oh yeah. I got my DoorMonster shirt on. I need to get the Action Fest shirt too.
Oh, that's coming.
If anybody has any other questions, you can drop them. I'm looking at the Austin Action Fest site. I'm looking at Ben's page, so you can drop them and I can read them out. Gotcha.
Justin's telling you to keep going, stay positive, never sell out. Critical. I don't think we're in a lot of danger of that. I think a lot of the stuff we've been talking about is that literally everything you would sell out to, Alex Ferrari already told us that it's built on foundations of sand that was never intended to really profit as filmmakers. So I think people are starting to wake up to the fact that the game is decentralizing itself.
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope that that's the case. I feel like it's definitely much more possible now than it ever was to be able to make these things without having to go go to the industry for help. And so I'm very excited to see everybody start doing that and kind of seeing the bulk of production kind of start dissipating out of Hollywood and kind of being spread around to more places.
You can do a lot of stuff in Austin, Texas. And so I had a question for you. And like I said, part of the reason we do this right here is to bring light not only to local filmmakers, but independent filmmakers in general. And to, they have the American Film Market in Cali. Hey, man, we're going to have the Austin Action Fest Market, which is a market for action-oriented content, which includes horror, which includes adventure, which includes most sci-fi. As long as the kick stabbing, chasing, or jabbing is somewhere in that project, we can have a conversation. So hopefully we can be a part of that decentralization as well. for you, since I know you're dabbling with some distribution options through your channel, what are some things that you would look forward to, since you're now in those conversations, for maybe like if there's a new distribution model that's going to pop up, or a new channel that's like a Netflix for indies or whatever, what are some things you would like to see?
That's a really good question. I do think there kind of is a missing step somewhere in between, like YouTube and Netflix. I think a lot of people have tried filling that in, and the two sides have tried sort of like reaching into the middle. But I feel like there needs to be at some point something new that exists as kind of a third step in between those things. YouTube has obviously started as like entirely independent, just upload your videos and see how they do kind of platform, but the company has expanded into like making their own originals and doing these different things. But when they do that, they do it still by industry rules. It's still the same thing. It's like they still play the same game as everything else. So there's like that huge gap is still there, even on the same site. And I don't know the solution. We've tried thinking about this and wondering if there's anything we could like try to work on or introduce that would help kind of steer it in this direction. But we haven't been able to. But I do feel like there's room for something that's like this sort of like mid-range, like middle-class film studio kind of area where like we can hopefully get these smaller production companies that are not, you know, Disney, but also aren't just some people in their bedroom that can get together and collaborate and do business with each other and actually make their own content.
My green screen in my bedroom is that
no, I mean that's still where we are too. But I want something. What's up?
That's what we're doing now, Kyle. We're just throwing shade.
That's what I mean, though. We're all in this on the same level. Like I feel like I want something. There just needs to be more tiers. I feel like it's too big of a jump, and I feel like that has been closing in recent years, because I can't. If you wanted to make movies in 1980 or something, I guess you were just out of luck. You just had to go. You had to go be a PA and work your way in. Like you couldn't like get a camera and make stuff by yourself. But now you can get like everybody's phone is better than the camera I was using when I first started.
I literally said that like 2 podcasts ago, because we started with our first camera wasn't a Canon. It was that Sony Coolpix something that my friend he's catching shade now. Marquez DeBose.
Y'all gotta get
It's the one who told me this. Look at the photos. You got to get this camera, and I bought it, right? And then we immediately got into filmmaking. I was like, "Yo, this is trash for filmmaking." And then I got on this other set, and this guy was using Magic. He was transitioning from film. He's using Magic Lantern on a Canon T3i, and Magic Lantern is like a pirated operating system that sits on top of the Canon software to give you additional features, right?
Yeah.
So we did that, and we picked up a couple of Canon. We had 3 Canon T3is eventually. We were running around thinking we were the hotness, putting up a storm, and then we upgraded to the Blackmagic 2K, and so we had that for a while, and it was pretty. And then we upgraded from that to the Panasonic GH5S's. So that's where we are right now. For the slow motion 4K, I mean, it's just, in the image quality just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah.
But my cell phone, I have a Samsung S10 or something like that. The slow motion and camera HD is so much better.
Yeah.
Than anything that T3i was putting out. Half the time I don't even shoot stuff with the T3is anymore. I'm like, I'll just get it with phone.
Yeah. The first year and a half of our weekly videos was shot on tape. I have a box of the tapes. They're the ones on our channel that have like hundreds of thousands of views. That's what we shot those videos on. And yeah, my phone records better than any of those videos ever looked. And that was the big problem. The big obstacle was getting equipment back in the day, but I just feel like that's being removed more and more. I'm currently learning Blender, which is completely free 3D software that can make things that look like photographs. Like I have the video I'm working on for this month. I've already done some test renders, and it looks like video footage. Like there's no distinguishable difference between something that was just made from nothing in a 3D software and the footage I shot out behind my house.
Got it.
And it's free. Like anyone can do that.
Yo, shoot us, as we're telling everybody else, shoot us some information. Like when you guys are working on projects or whatever, send it to us. We want Austin Action Fest, our page, to be more than just like, oh, look at all the cool stuff Austin Action Fest is doing. We want it to be like a hub of independent action and independent. We have animators, Chill Imwe is an animation 3D effects person. We want that kind of stuff to be in one space. And hopefully next year when we do our next, normally we have a gaming tournament too. So we want to turn the festival into more like a South by Southwest. It's not just film festival. There's a gaming tournament, there's cosplay, there's, anime.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
It's all of that stuff. And so route that stuff to us so we can share it, boost it, put it out there. So, because our communities are all related. So like I have friends in California that do a lot of mocap for video games. It's like, we're all tied in together. So I think we could do some things in Austin, not to mention like e-gaming, esports is becoming like crazy. People are just watching people play games. I have watched videos on Warzone, so I'm not even gonna front like I'm not that guy too, okay? I had to get my KDR up, it's okay. But that's a thing that Austin doesn't have a whole lot of. And we're action fans, so we like all this sort of stuff. So we're trying to see what people want and what they need and how we can start to meet those needs versus constantly begging for the legislation to please give us more tax incentives so we can get people to come save us.
Yeah.
I get tired of those requests. It's like, well, we can do that. We can campaign with TXMPA and all that stuff if it's going to be beneficial. But while we're waiting, let's just make it an enticing scenario where you just want to come here because it's great and because you have all these other opportunities. So
right.
That's
actually 2 more questions came in, Kyle, if it's okay. You have a little bit more time.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite teacher and why? And what is the best piece of advice that you received, I guess, from them or in general?
Favorite teacher, huh?
Okay.
Or maybe if it helps to go to the advice part, like the best piece of advice that's been given to you.
Yeah. That's tough because I definitely do the same thing. Like I keep like lists of things that I that I hear from people, so it's hard to pick. So I'm trying to remember all my teachers now. The off the top of my head, obviously, sorry. My best teacher that I had was my my independent art teacher that I did after school. My parents put me into art classes independent of school because I wouldn't do sports. So they they sent me to art classes, and there's his name is Joe Fiacco. He teaches in Cedar Park, and he's like, I mean, essentially a family member at this point. He taught me how to draw, how to paint, how to do all the starting art stuff. As I was a kid, he gave me my first job. I worked there teaching animation for a while with him. And he just like, I can't think of any particular lessons I learned from him, but just by example, he's definitely been one of the people that I've kind of hoped to emulate. He's very like, he kind of has like the Bob Ross vibe of just like, who cares what, like nothing matters as long as you're enjoying creating. And
legit question. Am I the only one who would get up and listen to Bob Ross paint because it was so relaxing to hear him scraping the was I the only one?
No, I'll have his videos looping sometimes in the background just if I just like I need to relax or something.
Okay, let's make it true.
Two of you. No, I'm sure
But yeah, that like teacher wise, he's great and he's still teaching. And if you're in Austin or Cedar Park and want to take art lessons of any kind, I highly recommend looking him up. It's just the studio Cedar Park is where he teaches, and it's just kind of out there by the movie theater if you happen to live out near that area. But as far as advice goes, I think the people I've taken the most advice from has been, again, Freddie Wong on specific YouTube stuff. And he's the one that sort of like, that I kind of picked up my idea of like diminishing returns from, which is like the longer you spend on something, the less you progressively get out of it. So just set a date, get it done, release it, and move on to the next thing. That was his whole philosophy. And I kind of adopted that from him.
That is, I know the law of diminishing return. I never thought of it in that context.
Yeah.
But I've definitely felt it. Like when I've been dealing with something for too long, I'm like, man, I'm not even excited.
Yeah. Well, he described it in terms of like visual effects because that's what he specialized in. But his example was like if you're adding an explosion to footage, like first step is you drop the explosion stock footage into the shot and you're 90% done, right? Like there wasn't an explosion and now there's an explosion. So now, and it took 2 seconds. And now you're going to spend another 10 minutes, you know, tracking it, making sure it looks good and stuff, and you'll get it like another 5% there, and that's probably worth it. And then you can go in and tweak it more, but it's like the more and more you tweak it, the more time you're investing, and at a certain point, it's like, is it really worth spending all that time in it when you can just move on to like another shot or do something else? So it's, I ended up sort of like, because I was really bad about spending way too long on things before I heard that and ended up adopting that. So that was some pretty impactful advice. And then recently, because I've been having to kind of grow and change from that point too. I'm a really big fan of Jon Stewart from The Daily Show and basically everything that he's ever said. And he having now retired from his job and kind of like gone on to do other things with his life, gave some advice on a talk show at one point to somebody who was just graduating. And I think he said something like stop, like, don't try to finish things, just live them. And it kind of like, it was something I needed to hear at the time because I've kind of gone through my entire life very dead focused on the end result and on making sure this gets done and like building up the achievement list like in a video game. Like I have to have all this stuff. Like I need to make sure like all this stuff is checked off the list. But what most people don't realize while you're doing that is that once you get to the end, there's nothing else to do afterwards. You check it all off, and then it's like, okay, well, I did that. Now what do I do? And so I've been kind of like trying to reorient my own way of thinking around like enjoying the process of making things a lot more than just having them finished. Because when And those two pieces of advice are almost like a little bit counter to each other at first, because the one obviously very much promotes like, you know, just get it done and get it out. But I think combining them together, probably the best sort of like joint advice is like, you're never going to run out of things to do, no matter how hard you try, because there's just too much stuff in the world to do. So you really just need to enjoy the ride because there isn't really a logical endpoint, and if you got there you wouldn't be happy with it because then it would be done and you have nothing else to do.
So that, you know, the enjoyment of the journey. I mean, like right now, getting things going when it's scrappy, that's fun. You know?
Yeah.
Work. This is the fun. This is like if you tell me your journey, it's like, hey man, you know, I just saw my dad was rich, right? So he gave me $1 billion, and then we just started making projects. And I bought all of my followers on YouTube. And so my dad, he totally had a dealership, and so all his friends just supported it, and it was fun. That's a boring story.
No, 100%. That struggle you're going through is going to be the best part. Like when I finished the pilot, and that was one of the big things. I did that whole thing, and I was like, this is supposed to be where I end up, but all I can think about is like being out behind the art studio sweating at 3 a.m. in armor that I made myself for like 2 weeks to get this footage before we run out of tape.
Hey, look, I was messing around with leather. And, I couldn't find a leather pouch for my Renaissance gear that I liked. So I said, man, let me just get some scrap stuff and see if I can make one. And I made one. And that bad boy was ugly. I was way prouder than you would think I would have been. And way more excited about that one than I was once I finally had the money to go buy like a legit like pouch. Like I have a friend, Matt Poitras here in Austin, who makes like Star Wars holsters and like legit stuff that they use.
Okay.
And yeah, it was cool to buy his, but to go make my own, you know, like there was a sense of accomplishment to that.
Yeah.
And so you want to do a special shout out to our sponsors. One of those is Final Draft, you know, the best screenwriting stuff available on the market. Action Movie Medics, they are trained in COVID processes. So Chris Gallup, give him a call because he knows how to make sure we don't die of a pandemic while we shoot a indie project. Austin School of Film, always representing them and do a good job. Ballistic Blade Entertainment, that's us. Lone Star Software Services for putting together our beautiful website because I didn't want to do it and I'm tired of messing with websites and it's not my forte. Shot Lister, helping you get your projects, you know, put together and ready to shoot. Very, very useful. I love that. I put it to good use. Wild Canvas Media helped us with a lot of our graphics, our posters, the background that you see, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. Film Freeway for handling all this stuff. Awesome Movie Gear for just being amazing through the years and super, super reasonable and affordable, and sponsoring our event even when we did not know what we were doing and it was not even nearly this polished. City of Austin Cultural Arts has been a big sponsor. They weren't able to do much this year because of COVID, but they have been helping us get this thing going since we started. And so we are always forever thankful for anyone who comes in, everyone who's been a guest, and every one of our panelists. Seed and Spark, I mean, having them come on and offer to give free training for Seed and Spark for crowdfunding and whatever.
Hey, Ben,
yeah.
Can you hold for 1 second, please? I'm sorry. Can you take a look at what I've just sent to you? And Kyle, I want you to let you know that there's been 2 more questions that were asked of you. Well, 1 comment and 1 question. 1 comment I gotta share. Someone is saying that they were mesmerized by Bob Ross's fro when they were younger. I just wanted to share that. Fro.
Aren't we all?
And the other thing was someone was asking you if you could please share, if you can, what the video of the week is. Video of the week or month.
Oh yeah, for this month.
Just hold for 1 second.
Oh, sure.
He has to take care of something. And then, yes, if you could please share what that is.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, we're going back live. It's prepping right now.
Okay, cool.
I was wondering, I saw it freeze up. I was wondering if something had happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been running it literally all day.
Yeah.
Not know how that was going to go. So, it's fine with me. It'll be all right. That one. Okay, I think we're good to go. We should push it back out. Going back live, yeah. Cool. Facebook and live, yeah. Sorry, I apologize for everybody who's listening to my foolishness right now. All right, and it's back out. Boom. Should be live again. Okay, so where we at? The 2 questions?
Yes. Well, for one, I just shared the information about Bob Ross's fro. That had to get out there. But also, someone asked about the video of the, I think it was the month or the week. I'm sorry. But
yeah.
You could share it.
Yeah, definitely. This month I'm doing an Animal Crossing video. We've been planning that one for a little while. It's mostly a way to practice some Blender CGI that I haven't really had a chance to do before. So it's based off the game, and I'm working on like adding elements from the game into handheld like actual shots and like tracking that stuff in.
Got it.
Okay. So now I don't have any more questions. No other questions came up. So I think that's
okay.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Did you have anything else for Kyle before we thank everybody?
I think literally almost everyone on the planet just now. So I think we might have already done that. Besides,
Heard you.
oh, okay, cool. Well, dang it, I gotta go that whole run again. Fine. Okay, let me see how fast I can do this. But anything for Kyle before I do the final sign off and thank you.
Before we let him go, yeah.
Later, Kyle. I'll
Nope.
be texting you later about some things.
Okay.
You wanna
Looking
say
forward to it.
Thank you so much, Kyle. So thank you guys for attending the Austin Action Fest 2020 panels. It's been a full day of amazing information with amazing panelists who pretty much are telling us exactly how to get things done. Some shots of the pride, but in film you got to have a decent ego, take those hits, and learn when you're not doing it the right way or doing it the way that's giving you the results that you need. There's people out there, there's information out there, and we'll bring as much of that to our festival to share with you guys, not only the show side, but the business side as well. Thank you so much for Kyle for being here for that.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you guys for having me.
Awesome. Thank you, Cultural Arts, City of Austin, Cultural Arts. I'm not even sure what they're called, Cultural Arts Grants, something. You know who I'm talking about. They sponsor a lot of these artistic endeavors, do an amazing job. Thank you guys for being behind us all these years. Awesome Movie Gear for having very reasonably priced gear and also sponsoring us when we did not know what we were doing. You were amazing. Thank you for Film Freeway for allowing us to do this through your site. It was a bird right there, crazy. He's trying to get in the shot. Not today, sir. Not unless you pay to be a sponsor. So Film Freeway, thank you for allowing us to use your platform to get out there in front of these filmmakers and allowing us to help these filmmakers get seen by everyone else. Wild Canvas Media did a lot of our backgrounds, a lot of our flyers and things of that nature. Fantastic organization. We work with them a lot. So if you need anything, get a Wild Canvas, shoot. They do posters. James Drake is ridiculous and he does way too much stuff. Shot Lister, thank you. Amazing program, allows you to schedule your shots, share it with the group. Very, very useful for scheduling. If you don't have Shot Lister, go get Shot Lister. Lone Star Software Services put together our beautiful website, so I didn't have to. We just had to make some minor adjustments once everything was done, but they did all the hard work and heavy lifting for AustinActionFest.com. So thank you guys so much. I can't thank you enough. Thank you. Ballistic Blade Entertainment, some other company. We're here. Everyone's part of that too. So thank myself for being myself in Ballistic Blade Entertainment. Yeah, that works. Austin School of Film, thank you so much for sponsoring so many of our other events when we have live events. And hopefully we'll be able to go back to that once the plague has lifted and it's safe to do so. And then we'll be back to doing live screenings, which will be amazing. Action Movie Medics, oh my God. So these guys are trained in the new COVID protocols, and they are going to be critical having individuals like that on your set moving forward. You are going to shoot something, you want to be safe, contact Action Movie Medics, local group here in Austin, make magic happen, talk to Chris. And finally, Final Draft, okay, 11, that's the one that's sponsoring this event here. The best filmmaking software, screenwriting software available, known to man.
Yes.
What was that?
Yes.
Yes, okay, he's co-signing. Got it. Yes, they are the best at what they do. That is why Final Draft is an industry standard. You know, don't let not having the right software stop you from making your film. You know, if you got to do it on a typewriter or whatever you can get your hands on Microsoft Word, go for it. But the moment you can, the big boys are all using Final Draft. And when you got to pass that script around for adjustments and rewrites or whatever, trust me, Final Draft is the way you want to go. So shout out to them. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring. Thank you, Logo USA, for attending. For our other distributors that were able to attend, thank you guys so much for being here. All of our panelists for giving us all this great information. All you guests, all you filmmakers for sending us your film and trusting us with that this year. Next year, hopefully we can gather in a building in a convenient location, and it could be that much better.